Hello everyone, this is Rick and welcome to Astral Club. This is Riding the Dino Killing Asteroid Part 2. If you haven't seen Wednesday's episode yet of Part 1, I'll quickly summarize what occurred. Uh, I left my body and went and visited my angel guide, and he told me of the frustration of the council in the fact that Haven didn't decide to join, and that they were displeased with some of my, let's say, practical jokes where I misled them as to where I was going because I knew they would try to follow me. And then, of course, having my mind wiped by the Havenites so I didn't have the ident anymore because I wanted to protect them because I knew the council wouldn't necessarily take no for an answer. So they were quite upset with me because of all that. And I didn't really care that much. My guardian angel, though, said to me, after everything that you've been through, why is there some place you'd like to go or some place you've never been able to go that I can help you with? I can guide you through because, you never really ask for any help or anything else. I thought about it for a bit and I said, ever since I was a kid, I was, interested in dinosaurs. And then when they found out about how the dinosaurs had gone extinct because of the giant asteroid crashing into the Chicxulub area of Mexico between 65 and 66 million years ago, that I'd always wanted to see what happened on that day or those days and just to kind of witness that level of destruction because it just fascinated me. But I was never able to get the ident right because, quite frankly, the time frame is estimated by our scientists, and having a million years or so, or even half a million, is a hard way to try to find a particular time and day, and I was never able to do so. So I asked him if he could, take me to Earth to see, what happened when that giant asteroid hit. He said yes, and he did me one better. He actually put us on top of the asteroid as it was passing the moon and getting ready to hit the Earth and cause essentially the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs and about 75% of the life on Earth. Now, this thing, there's scientists' disagreement as to exactly. Some say it was 6 miles wide. Others say it was maybe as much as 10 miles wide. It was traveling extremely fast, anywhere between 45,000 miles an hour to 60 some thousand miles an hour. I mean, all this stuff is just, they're trying to come up with their best guess. What I can tell you is it was a mountain that we were riding on, and we were coming in fast because we passed the moon and hit the earth just in a matter of seconds to let you know just how fast this thing was moving. Now, because my guide was there with me, he was able to help slow down the time so that I was able to observe a lot more than I would have been able to otherwise absorb if I'd been in my physical body, let's say in a space suit, let's say, because it was literally only a handful of seconds till we hit. Anyway, where I broke off last time is we had just hit the Earth, and we were just entirely covered with burning debris, black dust, sulfur. Um, Soon we both rose away from the crater, which was miles deep, and it was a burning hole, essentially in the ocean. And the water had been pushed aside, and as we progressed further, and I let my guide handle this, so I don't know the exact time frame, but I wanted to get closer to where the dinosaurs were because I wanted to see it from their standpoint. So we went to Texas, or what is today Texas, and it was near the coast of what was currently the coast of Texas. Keep in mind that in the first episode, I described in detail how the sea levels were definitely much higher, and that how a good portion of today's land was underwater. So if you want to hear the description, go back and see the Wednesday episode, the part one. But Texas, you could definitely make out, Texas. Although, like I said, the eastern coast was definitely a lot of it was underwater. But we landed where there was the coast, and there was a herd of Triceratops type dinosaurs, and I decided to go into the body of one of those Triceratops because I wanted to feel what it was like. I know that's a little nuts, but you can't really feel in the astral body the same way a physical being does. So I went into its body. It was fairly easy because it was very confused. It was frightened. So it was very easy for me to get in to the body and to start sharing its consciousness. I was feeling an enormous earthquake. As a matter of fact, it knocked me off my feet, as well as the rest of the herd was knocked off its feet. There was all kinds of sounds. These things, it sounded like they sounded like bulls. If you've ever heard a bull bellowing, that's kind of what it sounded like to my Triceratops ears and my human mind. So we all struggled to get back up on our feet, and we kept on being knocked down again. And I basically kind of waited rather than trying to get up and falling down again, because I figured all I would do was injure the creature. While the other herd, though, was just in panic. There were some that did get up and they were running in all directions. It was just a complete bedlam. And then this fireball started coming in, and this creature's brain just couldn't process it. It knew danger, it knew death, and it tried to flee, but I overrode it. The rest of the herd took off, but I knew there was no point in running. There was no escaping what was coming. I knew that. And perhaps I was being merciful here, because it's better to be over quickly than to extend, the suffering. As this fireball approached, I felt it getting warmer and warmer and warmer until my hide started to burn. And I felt pain, severe pain, all over my body. The creature's mind was completely just frightened. It didn't know what was going on. I was doing everything I could just to manage the pain and to try to calm it. And I had some success, even though literally a good portion of our skin was burnt. I had closed our eyes, but they were damaged too in the heat. But I could still make out what was going on. And all around me were frightened creatures running about. Everything was burning. All of the swampy area, the trees, they were all on fire, all burning. Everywhere it was just like the world, well, like the world was ending. Everything was flame, and some creatures were blind, and they were just falling into the shore, the waters. Others were just scattering blindly, roaring in pain. It was an awful scene of bedlam. I started also having problems breathing, And I probably figured that what had happened is that a good portion of our lungs had been burnt because of the heat. When we breathed in, because when we breathed in, it felt like our lungs were on fire, and it was shock more than anything else that enabled me to maintain some control because its brain, it just went into shock. So I was pretty much running things at that point in time. And I wasn't able to do much other than just watch. And just when I thought the worst was over, the earthquakes, the burning fireball that just swept over us. But then I looked up and I saw coming at us was a skyscraper sized tsunami. And that's what I knew was coming, which is why I knew there was no point in trying to let this thing run. Death was coming, and it was the entire vista looking out to the ocean. It was one enormous wave that was every bit as tall as a skyscraper in New York City. And this is not something that anybody could outrun. My human brain knew that. So all I could do was try to comfort this creature and wait until the wall hit. And when it hit like a steam train, and we died virtually instantly. And I found myself rising above the churning waters as they put out the fires, but submerged the land for as far as I could see. There was bodies after bodies of dead animals, dead dinosaurs, just swirling in this maelstrom of boulders that were being tossed about in the water like they were teeny pebbles. There was burnt trees, all sorts of detritus. It was literally, you looked up into the sky and it was flaming red. It was Judgment Day for the dinosaurs, no question about it. I flew higher and higher, and my guide joined me then at that point, and we surveyed the damage to the earth. The burning ball also hit South America and headed towards Africa and Europe too. There were also large tsunami waves that I could see that were starting to hit South America and that were headed towards Africa and also what is today Europe. It was truly, truly a grim, grim time. I suggested we progress a little bit forward, and we did. And when we arrived, now the sky was it was more black, but there were still bits of red throughout it. And I could see rain, but it wasn't water rain. It was ashy particles that were on fire that were falling all over the planet. And every time it did, it set more fires. And more creatures. I saw so many of them just being burnt alive. I went into another creature that I couldn't really identify what kind of a dinosaur it was based on anything that I know. I made sure that it was a little bit further inland so that it didn't die in the initial deluge that had occurred. But when I went into it, I could tell that it was a meat eater because it had that predatory brain. And they tend to be a bit more intelligent than the plant eater types. It was it was also beside itself. It was confused. There were still shocks that were happening. The earth was still trembling underneath us. and it it was trying to find a place to hide. That's the basic idea I got. That it was trying to find some way to get away from the death that it sensed was coming. But this black ash just continued to fall, and it would burn our skin when it hit, but not enough to kill us. But as we breathed in, I could tell we were breathing in this ash, and I know a little bit about volcanic ash because I did some research on it once for a paper many years ago. And it's not ash like you have a fireplace where you burn wood and then there's some ash. No, if you look at volcanic type ash under a microscope, it looks like a um, a jagged piece of broken glass. So when you inhale it in, it doesn't only take up space that should be reserved for oxygen or for air, but it makes little cuts in the lung tissue because of these sharp particles. And we were breathing in just mouthfuls of this stuff. There was no way around it, and I could feel us getting heavier and heavier, struggling to breathe. The more we breathed in, the less we were getting out of it, and the pain was just getting worse. The burning pain on patches of our skin was bad enough, but now our vision was occluded. It was very hard to see. I know there was retina damage. There was something going on there. Maybe it was the heat. It definitely felt uncomfortably warm, but I was concentrating more on the burning feeling, and then just the horrendous pain in the lungs and the difficulty in breathing. And finally, it just fell forward, and I left the body, and I'm sure it died soon after that. So I wanted to see what it was like for those dinosaurs on that fateful day. And my guide was there with me, and he said, "Have you seen enough?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I've seen enough at this point." And I mean, part of me was very sad because of all this death of this unique life around me. But my guide said, "Look, I understand. You feel for these creatures, but realize that in order for new life to evolve, the old has to die away. And if this asteroid had not hit the Earth, then you would not be here now. And certainly the mammals would never have risen. Because when the dinosaurs ruled the Earth, mammals were these shrew-like creatures that existed in burrow holes and came out at night to hunt when they thought they had a chance of survival. So, the biosphere of Earth, just like the old Etch a Sketch I used to have when I was a kid. When you're done drawing on it, if you want to draw another picture, you had to shake it so that it would go empty again. Luckily, the Earth wasn't what. Luckily, the biosphere wasn't wiped out, but 75% of it was, and the death knell for the non-avian dinosaurs was sounded. Now, scientists tell us that they probably all didn't die right then and there. There probably were some survivors for some period of time, but they were on borrowed time at that point in time. It was only a matter of time before they all became extinct, and the mammals rose to fill those niches. So that was on my bucket list, and even though I had mixed feelings about it, I was very thankful, and I thanked my angel guide for his help because it was something that I was never able to manage because it was so hard to find that particular time frame and that particular ident. So If you liked this episode, please hit the like button, share it with those of like minds. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, make sure that bell's on so that you're always notified, of every single new episode when they come out Wednesday afternoon and Saturday morning. And as always, leave those comments. Love that stuff and your questions. And as always, this is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.